President Muhammadu Buhari to attend the 6th Tokyo International Conference on African Development in Nairobi, Kenya. Vice President Yemi Osinbajo addresses the National Council on Development Planning, says federal government's strategic plan is in line with the Sustainable Development Goals. And two traditional rulers at different fora speak on national issues. A warm welcome to NTA Network News. I am Elizabeth Banu. Thank you for joining us. President Muhammadu Buhari is expected to attend the 6th Tokyo International Conference on African Development in Nairobi, Kenya from August 27th to 28th, 2016. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, indicates that the summit, co-organized by the Government of Japan, the United Nations Office of the Special Advisor on Africa, the United Nations Development Programme, the African Union and the World Bank, will focus on promoting structural economic transformation through diversification, resilient health system for quality life, and social stability for shared prosperity. During the conference, President Buhari will participate in plenary sessions on TICAD in alignment with African development, the dialogue with the private sector, as well as global launch of the second African Human Development Report. The Alaafin of Oyo, Oba Lamidi Adeyemi, has applauded the genuine efforts by President Muhammadu Buhari to address what he calls multidimensional problems of the country and solicited the support and understanding of Nigerians. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports that the monarch stated this at the presidential villa after giving further explanation on a memorandum he submitted to President Muhammadu Buhari on the way forward for Nigeria. Oba Adeyemi, who met the president behind closed doors, told newsmen that the memo captures the prevailing socio-economic and security challenges facing Nigeria, as well as the pragmatic ways of addressing them.
And then has asked me to pass this information to other traditional around my domain that we should seek to assist the government in whatever area. That is very a listener, and such advice should be put in writing so that you will then relate it with others to take a decision on the various dimensional problem that is affecting Nigeria. The Avenger problem, bombing of oil installation, the MEND, the Boko Haram insurgency in the northeast, and is to combat and praise the corruption frontally. We have offered some suggestions. The economy is firm, even though we are losing about 40 billion daily as a result of the Niger Avengers activities.
The Alaafin of Oyo described the recent visit by the U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry to Nigeria as a major diplomatic victory for the president, thanked the Nigerian leader for the bold steps taken to restore order in Ikorodu and Arepa areas of the southwest.
The good measure of the efficacy of the federal government to have sent forces there, not only trying to wipe them out, but they use area photograph to identify the places where the people are hiding a creek. They flush them out, and normalcy is running to Ikorodu and Arepa area.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo says the nation awaits the successful handling of the implementation of government strategic plans by the nation workforce towards the attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals. Speaking at the 15th Joint Planning Board JPB and National Council on Development Planning NCDP meeting in Kano, the Vice President maintained that the National Strategic Plan of the Buhari administration is fashioned towards addressing issues affecting the health and social life of the people of the country, as captured in the United Nations recommended SDGs. State House correspondent Jide Onifadi reports.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo regards the meeting as apt, as he noted successful implementation of the strategic plans and attainment of the SDGs entail partnerships as encapsulated in Goal 17, which is about the need to create global partnership. Just as the federal government seeks partnership at global level with regard to rules and resources, as the Vice President explains, government also seeks partnership on national levels, working closely with states. The Buhari administration, he says, is already addressing most of the issues in its ongoing program.
This country has everything that it takes to be great. The major catalysts of that greatness are you and I, the men and women who are privileged today to serve in public office. Every country of the world depends on its public servants, whether elected or appointed, to chart the path to progress and development. I'm confident that if we remain positive, resourceful, and focused, our country can achieve the lofty goals and great heights that we have set for ourselves.
Deputy Governor of the state, Hafizu Abubakar, represented the governor at the meeting.
Acceptance to grace this occasion is a clear testimony of the present administration's desire and commitment to raising the quality of life of Nigerians.
Minister of Budget and National Planning, Udoma Udodoma, also speak on the focus of the meeting and reiterates government's commitment to solving the challenges facing the nation.
Focus of our economic policy is to diversify away from crude oil, from dependence on one commodity, to get Nigerians producing again. So we're trying to stimulate agriculture, we're trying to stimulate solid minerals, we're trying to stimulate manufacturing. We're also trying to stimulate services, Nollywood, all sorts of different services. We want to concentrate and focus on stimulating Made in Nigeria, encouraging Made in Nigeria, supporting Made in Nigeria. Because in order to grow Nigeria, we must support Made in Nigeria.
The theme of the meeting is National Strategic Planning as vehicle for attainment of the Sustainable Development Goals in Nigeria. In Kano, Jide Onifade, NT News.
Meanwhile, the Emir of Kano, Muhammadu Sanusi II, has described the current economic situation in Nigeria as direct consequences of unfavorable policy decisions of successive administrations. The former central bank governor was speaking at the 15th National Council on Development Planning meeting in Kano. Abdullahi Mustafa reports.
The high cost of living in Nigeria is being attributed to the import-oriented nature of its economy, coupled with the significant drop in oil revenue in recent years. Another factor being blamed is the failure of successive administrations to invest in infrastructural development and create a conducive environment for investors. Emir Muhammadu Sanusi II, on the state of Nigeria's economy at the National Council on National Development Planning in Kano, not only agreed with such observers, but faulted non-implementation of experts' advice by policymakers over the years.
Oil price had collapsed. Avengers were blowing up oil wells. The scarce dollars we had, we were selling cheap.
The nation's economy.
The collapse in oil prices is a blessing and an opportunity for Nigeria for a new beginning.
Vice President Yemi Osinbajo chaired the session with an acknowledgement that Nigeria is facing unprecedented economic and social challenges, but expressed confidence that Nigerians have the ideas which, when put into good use, will facilitate growth and development.
One of the critical problems that we have is just that capacity to ensure that we're able to see things through, start and finish.
Governors of Imo, Kebbi, Ogun, and Kaduna State say they are committed to sustaining peer review mechanism and continued working together to actualize the set objectives of economic diversification to get out of the present challenges.
History has already taken note of the huge commitment, sacrifice, and the awesome sense of patriotism shown by APC governors, party leaders at different levels.
We are there because of our people. And if we're there because of our people, it's just those basic little things that our people need.
We are grateful to the federal government. We are grateful particularly to you, Mr. Vice President, and the Chairman of the National Economic Council, for leading the way in supporting the states out of their current crisis.
Next meeting of the progressive governors in Kebbi State is expected to deliberate on agriculture. In Kaduna, I am Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachkun, NTA News.
Former President Olusegun Obasanjo has promised to continue to do everything possible to ensure that Nigeria maintains a cordial relationship with other African countries for the development of the continent. Chief Obasanjo stated this when the Liberian Vice President Joseph Boakai visited him at his hilltop residence in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. Akim Jumo has details.
While speaking shortly after the arrival of the Liberian Vice President, former President Obasanjo assured that Nigeria would continue to play its leadership roles in Africa for the advancement of the continent. He said the friendship, cooperation and cordiality between Nigeria and Liberia would continue to improve the bilateral trade relations of both countries.
Progress and development of Liberia is paramount to us here.
Chief Obasanjo called on African leaders to support one another for rapid development in the region, urging them to positively project the image of the continent at all times. The former president said Liberians were friendly and hospitable people, hence he enjoined people of other African countries to emulate Liberians. The Liberian Vice President, Mr. Joseph Boakai, assured of robust relationship with Nigeria, speaks on the prospects of the bilateral relations between both countries.
People don't feel that they have entitlement to the resources they alone. We begin to look more. Africa will be open and everybody will feel part of the rest of Africa.
The Liberian Vice President acknowledged and commended the roles and contributions of Nigeria to the restoration of peace and the enthronement of democracy in Liberia. In Abeokuta, Hakim Jimo.
Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed says the MOU signed with the British Council is a further confirmation of the federal government's determination to fully develop the culture and tourism sector in Nigeria. The minister said this at the signing ceremony in Edinburgh, Scotland. Anthony Forson reports.
Signing for Nigeria is the Minister of Information and Culture, while Suryan Devan signed on behalf of British Council. The event is a culmination of Britain and Nigeria's agreement to step up cooperation in the area of culture and tourism development to boost the Nigerian industry and make it a significant foreign exchange earner for the country. Information and Culture Minister Lai Mohammed, who expressed optimism that with the present administration's determination to diversify the economy, the Memorandum of Understanding aptly captures government's social intervention package for the citizens.
If you empower the woman, you reduce tension in the family.
The Chief Executive Officer of the British Council, while expressing delight over Nigeria's acceptance to partner with the Council, said it is equally heartwarming to support Nigeria in a way that poverty will be eliminated.
Your encouragement, which I agree with totally, of making sure that there are specific things that we can look at and that substance does follow that intent and that spirit. I think it's hugely important.
Before this Memorandum of Understanding was signed, British Council has done a research and come up with a blueprint on how to assist Nigeria develop its culture and tourism sector. In Edinburgh, Scotland, Anthony Forson, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the 2016 Edinburgh International Cultural Festival Summit is underway in Scotland, with Information Minister Lai Mohammed leading the Nigerian delegation. Here again is Anthony Forson.
The summit, since inception in 2012, has remained a platform that gives the public and artists the opportunity to hear from world-leading figures on critical issues that concerns the sector.
Culture is essential to our sense of well-being and our self-worth. It is often what defines us as nations and as individuals within those nations. It is at the very core of who we are and what we do.
Celebrate the arts, promote international understanding, and ensure that culture enriches and acts as a bridge between the lives of all peoples.
We celebrate that which brings us together and not concentrate on that which divides us.
The summit agenda is deliberately non-partisan in a way that echoes the diverse international artistic atmosphere of Edinburgh in August. In Edinburgh, Scotland, Anthony Forson.
President Muhammadu Buhari has congratulated the Christian community on the 80th birthday of Prelate Emeritus Methodist Church of Nigeria, Sunday Mbang. The President, in a statement by the Special Advisor, Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, congratulates Mbang and members of his family for a rich life lived in the service of God, humanity, and the nation. He commends the courage of His Eminence in always speaking out against corruption, praying the Almighty God to grant him good health and more years of service to his fatherland. President Buhari also congratulated an eminent academic and former Minister of Petroleum Resources, Professor Tam David West, as he turns 80 on August 26, 2016. He recalls with fond memories his long-term relationship with the elder statesman when he served as Minister of Petroleum. The President commends Professor David West's steadfastness and forthrightness on issues of good governance, democracy, human rights, and the unity of Nigeria. He assures the octogenarian that his place in Nigeria's history is guaranteed for the statesmanship, fearlessness, intellectual depth, and versatility that he brought into public discourse. And President Muhammadu Buhari has expressed sympathy with Italy over the deadly earthquake that has claimed more than 200 lives in the central part of the country. According to a statement by the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Media and Publicity, Garba Shehu, President Buhari told the Italian Prime Minister, Mr. Matteo Renzi, that his family, the government, and people of Nigeria share the grief of Italian citizens over the deadly natural disaster. He prayed God to comfort the families of the victims and grant them the fortitude to bear the grief at this emotionally challenging time. You can watch this news live online via the NTA mobile app, which you can download on your Android device at the Google Play Store or at the Apple Store if you use devices with iOS. Ahead on the news tonight, correspondent on special assignment examines the role of the community in Ogoni cleanup. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Change does not just happen. You and I and all of us must appreciate that we all have our part to play if we want to bring change about. We must change our lawless habits, our attitude to public office, and public trust. We must change our unruly behavior in schools, hospitals, marketplaces, motor parks, on the roads, in homes and offices. To bring about change, we must change ourselves by being law-abiding citizens.
His Excellency, Senator Dr. Ifeanyi Okowa, Governor of Delta State, welcomes the Vice President, Federal Republic of Nigeria, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, to Delta State as we celebrate our Silver Jubilee. The Vice President will declare open the Delta State Investment and Economic Summit, scheduled for Friday 26th and Saturday 27th August 2016 at the Event Center, Asaba. Mr. Vice President, you are welcome to experience the warmth and hospitality of our people and witness firsthand the great opportunities that exist in Delta State for economic diversification, inclusive economic growth, and sustainable development. Delta State, to be the best.
The Honorable Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, and the Honorable Minister of State for Education, Professor Anthony Gozie Anwuka, cordially invite relevant stakeholders in the education sector, civil society organizations, and the public to a one-day consultative meeting on the draft roadmap tagged Education for Change, a ministerial strategic plan as follows. Date: 29th August 2016. Venue: Nikon Luxury Hotel, Plot 903, Tafawa Balewa Way, Area 11, Garki, Abuja. Time 9 a.m. Dr. Folashade Yemieson, Permanent Secretary, Announcer. The FRSC, in conjunction with Nupeng PTD, hereby informs the public, especially tanker drivers, that enforcement for installation of speed-limiting devices on vehicles starts October 1st, 2016.
58 Bayes University, Abuja. Learn to live.
Do you know that 2.5 million children in Nigeria are malnourished, and about 500,000 are likely to die yearly if nothing is done? To combat this public health emergency, Her Excellency Aisha Muhammad Buhari initiated Get Involved, a component of a future assured project to fight malnutrition in children, especially those at the internally displaced people's camp. The launch of the Get Involved project is an opportunity for all Nigerians to lend their support to this noble cause. The pre-launch of Get Involved project is from 29th August to 2nd September 2016. Time 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. daily. Venue: International Conference Center, Abuja. Launching holds on Saturday, 3rd of September 2016. Time 10 a.m. Venue: International Conference Center, Abuja. For more details, email programs@futureassured.org.ng. Get involved and save the life of a Nigerian child today.
It's truck month at Ford, and we've got a Ranger just for you, Vincent. Here's the Workhorse 2.5 petrol single cab with free Ford Protect, a 4-year 120,000-kilometer service plan. Or the 2.5 petrol-based double cab with 800mm water wading capability, available in manual transmission and with free Ford Protect. So while stocks last, visit Kostaris Motors today. Because, wait for it, thanks Vincent, we've got a tough Ford Ranger just for you.
My father said opportunity knocks every minute. He used to say to me that even the rising sun is an opportunity. A man must give each day everything. I live by those words. Just 1 minute of one day can change everything. Every day he stepped out with the belief that today might just be that day.
At FCMB, we believe every day is a new opportunity. Let's help you step forward and take it. FCMB, My Bank and I.
If we have lost the opportunity of 15 years, let us no longer lose any opportunity for the future. Our alternative is agriculture immediately and solid minerals.
We should be appreciative of the president who has again diverted attention to this issue of agriculture.
The present administration is determined to go back to planning, identify priorities beforehand. When money comes, it is applied to that purpose. You can see the results.
We are determined to rehabilitate our country, especially for our children and our grandchildren.
You're watching NTA Network News live from Abuja, Nigeria's capital city. More communities are keen into the policy by the federal government to eliminate the environmental challenge in Ogoniland with the planned cleanup of contaminated areas. Nnamdi Odipo visited Ogoniland recently reports that, like government, Ogoni communities have a very important role to play in the successful cleanup exercise.
Not all pains linked to environment pollution are visible in Ogoni land. Where they manifest, the effect on the senses is profound. The people here have long endured the adverse impact of oil pollution on the ecosystem. Yet what currently captures the imagination is their resolve and collective will to invest in hope for a better tomorrow.
The trust Ogoni has in this government is building day in, day out. As the government begins to take more of the commitments, the trust is being built. You know, trust and communication go together.
Trust in this instance translates to the readiness of every party to play its role towards a successful cleanup exercise. It has been agreed that the successful cleanup and recovery of contaminated sites like these would require a multi-sectorial approach, one that places some level of responsibility on the communities, especially when it comes to stopping the activities of those involved in artisanal refining of petroleum products. Oil theft and artisanal refinery operations are reputed to have contributed largely to environmental pollution in Ogoni land. Between 2007 and 2011 alone, studies show that increased illegal mining in Bodo West axis of Ogoni land led to the loss of more than 300,000 square meters of mangrove cover in the area. If sources of ongoing contamination are to cease before the cleanup commences, then it is imperative for the communities to take ownership of the process.
We cannot clean while at the same time destroy pipelines. If you are destroying pipelines, it means the cleaning up will also be of no effect. So at the same time, what we're calling for, we're also urging our young men and women not to get involved in processes that will also undermine the integrity of the environment.
As the federal government moves to translate the cleanup exercise into concrete action, Ogoni land looks to build on this rising hope. The hope of days when the bleak environment gives way to a bright atmosphere that inspires confidence and conviction for a promising future. From Ogoni land in Rivers State, Nnamdi Odikpo, NTA News.
And Niger Delta monarchs have urged the federal government to urgently constitute a dialogue team to ensure continuous peace in the Niger Delta. Lydia Sampson reports that the monarchs made the request in Abuja when they called on the Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Ibe Kachuku.
The Niger Delta region has witnessed increased activities of militants, which has affected life in the area, particularly oil production. Government has been making efforts to ensure that peace returns to the area so the development will continue. Traditional rulers from the region have also added their voice to search for peace, where they are calling for dialogue.
As a matter of urgency, the federal government should do the following: appoint, constitute a federal government dialogue team.
Responding, Minister of State Petroleum Resources Ibe Kachuku assured the monarchs of President Muhammadu Buhari's commitment to engaging key players in the area in finding lasting solutions through dialogue.
If you look at the amount of money that has been put into the Niger Delta over the last 10 years in paper, it's over $40 billion. These have come from NDDC, it has come from derivation, it has come from oil companies' investments, over $40 billion. But as I go to the creeks, I see no single infrastructure that you can point to say this is the result of this investment.
He assured the delegation that he will deliver their message to President Muhammadu Buhari. In Abuja, Lydia Sampson, NTA News.
Talking health now, ministers of health from Lake Chad Basin countries have declared the resurgence of poliomyelitis in Nigeria a public health emergency for all member countries and implementation coordinated outbreak response. This was at the 66th session of the World Health Regional Committee for Africa meeting held in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, with Nigeria's Health Minister Isaac Adewale in attendance. Chimdiman Dubisi reports.
Lake Chad Basin countries resolved that for the proposed harmonized polio vaccination program across the sub-region to be successful, members should make available financial, technical support and fully engage communities at all levels. Multinational Joint Task Force is to also provide security to support the process. The World Health Organization's Director General, while committing to lend support to the polio eradication program, commended Nigeria's prompt response.
As jubilation was about reaching a crescendo in commemoration of Nigeria's certification as a polio-free nation, a rude shock came 2 weeks ago with 2 fresh cases recorded in Borno State. This unusual development jolted all stakeholders in Nigeria back to the drawing board. The Senate summoned the Minister of Health and officials of health-related agencies for a strategy meeting.
During our meeting with Mr. President said, as we liberate more areas, we should expect more challenges. And in all honesty, I wasn't expecting polio as a challenge. I was looking forward to malnutrition, diarrhea, and many other things, maybe teenage pregnancies, but not polio.
Aside from searching extensively for new cases, a combined team of experts are mapping out robust strategy for an immediate response, using for the very first time military medical personnel to combat cases in phases.
As representative of the people, whatever affects Nigerians definitely affect us, and we must handle it with the utmost urgency.
Recent cases of Lassa fever recorded in Delta State and speculations of possible Zika virus infections were also considered and deliberated upon at this meeting, with all assurances given by both health administrators as well as the senators to do everything possible to contain any epidemic.
The most critical response is to follow up all the contacts of the case. So all the both patient, staff, driver, family that were in touch with the case during his period of infectivity, and to ensure that if there are any new cases, we pick it up and manage it.
In the meantime, the Senate Committee on Primary Health Care reiterated its commitment to investigate alleged fraud with respect to funds from donor agencies to the Nigerian health sector. From the National Assembly, Wazir Ziyano, NTA News.
Provide quality service to enrollees or face delisting. This note of warning is for health maintenance organizations, HMOs, from the newly appointed Executive Secretary of the National Health Insurance Scheme, Professor Usman Yusuf. Health correspondent Rashidat Mustafa Olagunju reports that it was at his management meeting with HMOs on quality service delivery to subscribers.
Launched in 2005 as a public-private partnership to provide accessible, affordable and quality healthcare to Nigerians, NHIS over the years has been faced with a series of challenges. Notable among them is inadequate quality care to subscribers of the scheme. To enable NHIS perform optimally, Professor Usman Yusuf said the scheme must be rid of corruption, inefficiency, impunity and political patronage.
We cannot give you money and not give it for that which it is meant. You go to hospital and see how our enrollees are treated. Meanwhile, the HMOs are eating chicken. This is criminal, ladies and gentlemen. So the NHIS, we've not done well. We've not been responsive or accountable to our enrollees.
Your vision exactly is our vision. And we will give you all that we believe we need to move the industry forward.
Refusal of referrals, deliberate misinterpretation of NHIS operational guideline to the treatment of scheme users, as well as refusal to interface on behalf of subscribers when denied services by providers are some of the misdemeanors HMOs are guilty of. Professor Usman Yusuf says enrollees should be treated like royalty since it is their money that is used to run the scheme. Rashidat Mustafa Olagunju, NTA News.
It appears the crisis in the People's Democratic Party, PDP, is far from over, as the factional chairman, Ali Modu Sharif, screens 5 aspirants for Ondo governorship election. Abdullah Garba Burnukudu has details.
On 20th of August, the Makarfi-led caretaker committee held its primary election in which Mr. Eitayo Jegede emerged as a standard-bearer. Then came this twist as Senator Sharif's faction screened 5 aspirants to go for another primary election. He also received the report of a congress the factional group conducted in Ondo State.
The rest then we leave it for the delegates of Ondo to decide who they want as their governorship candidate. Our own is to wish you best luck to all of you.
Other faction held its primary election on Monday. Are you going to use the same
type of delegate, or you have your own delegate separate?
No. I don't know what other faction, because we in the PDP, we went through the due processes, of allowing people at the lower level, which is the ward level, to choose their 3 delegates. So how they manufacture their delegates is left for them.
Senator Sharif has fixed Tuesday next week for the primary election. In Abuja, Abdullahi Garba Kudu, NTA News.
The next report on our lineup tonight is on the dangers of dilapidated electricity lines. And Abdullahi has details from our Lagos Network Center. It's over to you, Abdullahi.
Thanks for joining us in Lagos, Elizabeth.
The required standard and shape that will connote safety, that they will be able to deliver power. Because if they don't do it, it's not just that people are unsafe, it's not just that people die, they themselves too cannot recover their revenue. Because the tanker losses at the state their network is very high. So they themselves find out too that by complying with the orders we are given, because we issue them, anytime we do monitoring exercise, we issue them very stern orders on what they should do. And we've equally started ranking them so that they can compete.
You're still watching NTA Network News. We take a short break. We'll return shortly. Stay with us.
Guys, TGIF!
TGIF.
See you later. Bye-bye.
Now the real turn-up is online. Thank Glow, it's Friday. Now you can enjoy 3 gigabytes for 500 naira plus 100 naira free talk time every weekend with the Glow Weekend Plan. Dial *777#.
Hello, Steve. Oh, not there now.
The largest data network, Glow, grandmasters of data.
As a build-up towards the 17th of June 2017 deadline for digital switchover, NTA is hosting a strategic and innovative business solution meeting tagged Million Eyeball. Traditional and trending digital platforms in place for digitization will be on display. NTA multi-channels, providing entertaining and interesting content with clear signals in readiness for the switchover, will be showcased. Date, Tuesday, August 30th, 2016. Venue, Sojourner by Genesis, 16 Oba Akinjobi Street, Ikeja, Lagos State. Time, 11 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. NTA, the largest network in Africa.
You get 3 kinds of moms. The paranoid mom.
It's hot and it's dirty.
The cautious mom. And the Dettol mom. Only a Dettol mom knows that ordinary soaps aren't enough. She only trusts Dettol to protect her family from up to 100 illness-causing germs, which is why you can worry less and love more. Don't just be any mom, be a Dettol mom. Dettol, be 100% sure.
Discover the liquid freshness of Center Fresh chewing gum that you feel. And others too. Center Fresh. Trust the freshness.
Helen!
Would you like some water? It's cold, especially for you.
Which era are you living in? We have a fridge.
When everything else in your house is from the present, then why are your toilet cleaning methods from the past? Harpic, all-in-one for you. Compared to other toilet cleaners, Harpic removes top stains, kills all germs, and removes bad odors. For a shining clean and fresh toilet.
Wow.
You should also take the
Happy all-in-one challenge.
Thank you for staying with us on NTA Network News. Trading on the equities market closed today on a negative note. We have this and more on Business News with Chazalam Ekiu.
It's glad to have you join us on business segments. We turn our attention to latest developments in the foreign exchange markets. Nigeria's manufacturing sector accounts for 10.6% of the nation's GDP, no thanks to the current economic downturn which has hit the sector with steady contraction since the first quarter of 2015. Worried by this, the Central Bank of Nigeria, in its quest to stimulate economic activities, has directed commercial banks and authorized dealers in the foreign exchange market to channel 60% of its total foreign exchange purchases. The Apex Bank gave the directive in a circular signed by its acting director, Trade and Exchange. These experts say it's bound to have a positive impact on productivity.
It might sound impressive to the general public, but the question is, that 60% might only be 10% of what the manufacturers need to meet the market demand. We are all aware that the economy is going through difficult times, and due to the oil and all that. So we need to just open up our exports. The private sector should be seriously encouraged. Unfortunately, the banks are not doing much. When you look at the interest rate, investors can't really access these funds.
And a quick look at transactions on the Nigerian stock market. That's the package at this time. I am Chiazola Mekie. Network News continues. Don't go away.
Thank you, Chiazola. The Federation Accounts Allocation Committee has shared over 443 billion naira between the three tiers of government as revenue for July 2016. This represents 11% decrease over that of the previous month. We'll bring you details in our subsequent bulletins. Capacity of police personnel boosted ahead of the governorship election in Edo State, and Beauty in Benin is our guide. It's over to you, Beauty.
Good evening, Elizabeth, and welcome to Benin. The Deputy Inspector General of Police in charge of operations, Mr. Joseph Abila, has expressed the Nigerian police readiness to deploy 23,000 of its personnel to ensure robust security during the September 10 governorship election in Edo State. He made this known when he visited the force headquarters in Benin to ascertain the command's readiness ahead of the governorship election. Steve Leonard Wonkolo will give us details of that report.
AG Joshak Habila, who called on the policemen to exhibit high sense of professionalism and apolitical in their operations during the September 10 governorship election in the state, urged them to commit themselves to the success of the election.
I want to remind you that the election in Edo is going to serve as a test case. And you know the security is very, very important. Whatever structure that we put in ground and there are no security, I can assure you that it's bound to fail.
The Assistant Inspector General of Police in charge of Zone 5, Mr. Kola Shodipo, and the State Commissioner of Police, Mr. Chris Ezike, expressed satisfaction with the visit of the DIG, stressing that the necessary measures have been put in place to ensure a hitch-free security during the election.
We are going to do the needful. We keep sleepless nights. We do morning duty and night duties. We increase visibility on the streets to make things work.
Professionally, we are ready. Psychologically, we are ready. It's going to be a very, very successful election.
The DIG Habila, who was earlier received on arrival by the AIG Shodipo and the State Commissioner of Police, Chris Ezike, inspected a guard of honor mounted by the sentry guards of the command. In Benin, Steve Lona and Waukolo, NTA News.
Women Working Together for Change is the theme of the Conference of Edo Women Development Initiative. Again, Steve Leonard Wonkolo will shed light on the report.
Professor Yinka Omorogbe, who deplores the harmful and discriminatory practices such as rape and violence against women, enjoins women to see themselves as agents of change.
Concentrating on the area of politics
and the area of mentorship, in addition to the other areas that we always talk about, which is domestic violence and trafficking.
The Minister of State for Health, Dr. Osage Ehanire, represented by Professor Ofelube Moche, lauded the efforts of the initiators of the conference.
In order to achieve change in Nigeria, women must play their roles as mothers of the nation and keepers of the hope.
This year's Edo Women's Development Initiative Conference focuses on the economic empowerment of women, enhancing increased participation of women in politics, the education of the girl child, amongst other issues militating against women in the society. In Benin, Steve Lona in Waokolo, NTA News.
That's our BTA in Benin. Elizabeth, thanks for stopping over. To sleep well.
Thank you, Beauty. And a beat on sports and developments around the world after this time out. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
I don't enter one chance. Which kind of wahala be this? You self, you not sabi the correct wazo milk.
Hollandia Eva, wazo back, shikini money, yeah. Wazo, Milky Way demo. Wazo, shikini money for more. Wazo, Milky Way demo. Shikini money for more. Milky Way making sense. Shikini money. Naija, no let your wazo enter one chance. Choose Hollandia Eva, shikini money, more milk.
A hectic lifestyle or overeating can cause a burning pain in your chest. That's heartburn. Take Gaviscon. One dose relieves in 3 minutes to soothe the pain of heartburn. It goes straight to the source to work for hours, providing long-lasting relief.
That's why I recommend Gaviscon.
I recommend Gaviscon. Gaviscon, fast relief you can actually feel.
If symptoms persist after 3 days, consult your doctor. The production, distribution, and sale of counterfeit and fake drugs is a corrupt practice and a crime against humanity. This has informed several measures and strategies to combat fake drugs, including introduction of anti-counterfeiting cutting-edge technologies to detect fake drugs on the spot. These technologies are being deployed to all the states across the Federation, as well as the internally displaced people's camps. The President, Muhammadu Buhari, and his team are committed to this fight.
The federal government of Nigeria, in line with its anti-corruption agenda and posture, will fight a total war against fake drugs and other unwholesome regulated products in order to ensure that Nigerians remain healthy and well.
Lend your support and join NAFDAC to rid the country of fake drugs and unwholesome regulated products. NAFDAC, safeguarding the health of the nation.
Deal struck to allow civilians and rebel fighters to leave the Syrian town of Daraya after a long government siege. For more on global tidbits, let's join Talatu Ezerike.
The political instability in Burundi over President Pierre Nkurunziza